over the last couple of weeks, as I've really gotten into trying to investigate and focus in on what it is to become a man, right? I've been trying to pursue this for a long time in my own life because there's always been what could be described as a chip on my shoulder. Because I don't know if you can relate to this, maybe you can't, but I had a dad who the legend of who he is has always lingered, overshadowed, right? When he was young, he did it all. Like, he was an insanely good athlete. He was judo junior Olympics. He was the tough guy. But he was also a great guy, a nice guy, friends. Like I said, all-star athlete, go to college, did this different stuff. And then once he chose a route for his life and God got a hold of his life, then he lived that to the highest standard. He's not perfect, but he lived that to the highest standard, and people know him and respect him. And it's not just about being known, it's how they know him, is that he's respectable, he's dependable, he's great at what he does. And that's somebody that you can count on. And there's no insecurity in that, right? A man who works hard all the time has nothing to prove because he knows deep down that he is working hard. But it's those of us that deal with this modern day laziness, anxiety, struggle to get out of bed, kind of mindset and lifestyle, that all of a sudden in the middle of the day when we start wanting to be motivated, we defeat ourselves because we know we hit snooze 5 times, right? We know that we ate this crappy food and we weren't disciplined and we gave in to every single urge and impulse that we have. And so it defeats us the moment and the time when war and the battle arises, right? Usain Bolt talks about how much he trained and he worked and he did all this, all for a 9-10 second race. He trained for years and years and years and years, all for 10 seconds, 9 seconds, whatever his record was. Think about that. How long we have to train all for that 10 seconds of temptation, that 10 seconds of impulse, that 10 seconds of escapism, whatever it may be. This is the infection that plagues most men and defeats us where we are. I think about it, and what I've come across is myself. I'll speak for myself, but I have some other friends where we've talked about this, where there's just this sudden urge to jump in an octagon, like UFC octagon. There's a sudden urge to do that. No training, no real training, no a little bit here or there, but just want to jump in there. And it's not about winning or losing. It's about, I want to prove to myself that I could do it, that I'm courageous, that I'm a man. Because there's nothing this day and age that proves where we earn our manhood. And plenty of us could see this. We've seen grown men who are 18 and older, and they're not a man. They're not a man at all. I've seen it in my own life, right? There's days where I'm not acting like a man. I'm still acting like a boy, still acting like a child. And so, it's something that our society and culture has bred and created, and it's a problem. Because the further we get away from true masculinity and manhood and providing an opportunity for young men, young boys to push themselves, to earn that right, that thing within us, that desire, that the way we were created, to prove that, to be able to say, I am a man, to know that deep down. Because it boils down to, am I enough? Am I enough? Am I strong enough? Do I make enough? That's some of the things that we struggle with as a man. A lot of men don't want to talk about it, but it's one of the biggest points of mental health for men is, am I enough? Am I strong enough? Do I make enough? I think those are the top 2 questions. There's other questions that some men and we struggle with depending on certain scars in our past and who we are. But overall, I think those are the 2 biggest ones. Am I strong enough? And do I make enough? That's important. Those are questions that can defeat us the moment we step out the door, because then it turns into a comparison game. And it's not about comparison. I don't need to walk into the room and compare myself. I can walk into a room and be secure if I know deep down I worked as hard as I could. I did do the push-ups. I did the workout. I work hard at my job. I did the work. I studied. Like when we do the background stuff that nobody sees, when it comes time for the 10 seconds, right? The Usain Bolt comparison. When it comes time for the race, I'm secure because I know that I sacrificed. I know I put in the work. I know that I did it. I proved it to myself. It doesn't matter if you see it. I proved it to myself. And that's the problem. Midlife crisis. People hit a point in their life where all of a sudden they're getting older and they realize, oh crap, what happened? I'm going to die someday, and what have I done? I've just been slaving away. I've been waking up, alarm clock, go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep. Monotony. And so then they do something crazy. Well, the same thing is happening to men. The same thing is happening to boys. Is all of a sudden, I'm not a man, and get insecure. And then either that comes out in an outlet of really bad decisions because we want to try to prove ourselves as a man. So then we try to exert that force on someone we see as lesser. That's why we see men abuse their wives in marriage, verbally, physically, so on, emotionally, right? That's why we see that. That's why we see men have bad outlets, is because they are not a man. They know it, but they want to find an outlet for it. And so they find the closest outlet they can. And more often than not, that knee-jerk reaction is wrong. Then there's sometimes where it gets a hold of a guy's life and that masculine outlet turns into something good. They become disciplined, they become dangerous, and they become someone worthy of respect. But it's not just about what other people think. It's about, do they respect themselves? The greatest commandment is this: love your neighbor as thyself. Most of us don't love ourselves, so then we don't love our neighbor. It's plain and simple. And so there's a masculine crisis going on, and it stems from men not being challenged. There's not some sort of birthright. There's not some sort of gauntlet we go through to become a man. I think of the Spartans way back in the day. When you were a young man, it was mandatory service, right? I believe is what they call it. Mandatory service. When you were young, you were thrown into the military. No matter if you became a philosopher or if you became something else later in life, you started out there. I think one of the ways that we can fix this country is by implementing that. Sometime in high school or before you go to college, every single man goes through some sort of basic training so that if there is a draft someday, you're a step ahead. Number two, it pushes them, creating disciplined men who contribute to their country, maybe will take more pride in their country and serve it well, whether it be on the battlefield in the military or in the workplace. And in turn, will become better men for it. It's just something that I've thought about over the last 2 weeks as I've been pursuing this, as I've been reading, as I've been diving into this. Those are my thoughts on it. Doesn't make me right, but hopefully it helps you out. We'll continue to update you on the journey as we continue to pursue becoming the man that we're supposed to become. All right. God bless you. Catch you later.